Hey, 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 Jay Allen from My True North, all the way from Bermuda, and delighted to be bringing you this week's Add a Zero insights from this incredible, beautiful country, or beautiful country that I find myself in, currently operating as a digital nomad. For those of you who have been following me recently, you'll know that every Monday we go live in this group and share some more of the insights from Add a Zero. And this week we're back into book one, establishing Basecamp, understanding more about the things that you need to have in place and to do and when and how and why to do in order to be able to build the right scale up foundations on which to be able to then subsequently accelerate both the speed and direction of growth. So as always, I'm simply going to be able to fan through the pages and to determine as to where it takes me today. And ironically, we've ended up on page 160 and 161, and it's talking all about money and accounts payable. It says, accounts payable is the total of the bills that you must pay, but you haven't paid yet. This is a business's short-term debt that must be paid. When your businesses get a bill in the mail, what happens? Do you pay it immediately, or do you maybe hold on to that bill for a little while before you pay it? If you run a business like I run mine, you probably hold on to that bill and pay it towards the end of the month. Or maybe you have a regular day each month where you spend all your bills. So let's just dive into understanding a little bit about the costs incurred within a business and where to be able to, how best to manage your money. If you're watching this live, if you'd be kind enough to simply put hashtag live, and if you're watching this as a replay, then kindly put hashtag replay so we know as to who and what and where you're being able to watch. So all of this comes from chapter 5 in the book, all about money and margins and understanding the importance of measuring where the money is coming from. You might be alarmed to realize or to learn that it's just as easy to grow broke as it is to go broke. Either cause a significant problem, which, if not addressed, causes the business to implode. And one of those is about bills payable. So let's first of all understand as to what I'm referencing, and then let's look at how we can make a significant impact on where you're spending your money and how to be able to make that money go further. So first of all, we've got to understand that what gets measured gets managed. And if you're not measuring it, you can't manage it. So the first understanding is we need to know where our money is coming from, who's paying us, what products are selling, what services are selling, and the frequency in which we're able to sell them. How frequently is cash coming into the business? It's all right sending an invoice, but if you send an invoice and it says payable within 30 days, then you've already delivered the service or the product or something in favor of the other person, but you're now holding on or waiting for 30 days at least until that payment arrives into your bank account. The reality is that if it says payable within 30 days, then you've automatically told someone that you've given them 30 days credit. They can have the service or the product 30 days prior to having to pay for it. And that's assuming that they pay you on time. It could very well be that you send an invoice and the person pays you straight away, which is great. But you've given them a grace period of a further 29 days beyond that. It might be 30 days yet before you receive the money. However, what happens if they don't pay on time? What happens if the invoice comes in and it gets pushed to one side and, oh, I'll pay that at the end of the month, and then they forget? And at the 30-day point, when you're expecting the money, it hasn't yet come in. So you end up sending a reminder. We sent you a bill a month ago and we said 30 days and it's not been paid. Oh God, I forgot all about that. I'll make sure that I get round to it. And they don't pay. And a second reminder and a third reminder. You're now into 45, 50, 60 days since they received the goods or the services before you receive payment. Now, that's all about money in. What about the money out? You see, the problem is that it might be that when you receive a bill, you make payment straight away. I need to get that money. I know I've spent that money. I now need to be able to pay it and get it out there and get it gone so I don't reuse it somewhere else. I know I've got these commitments. I'm a good person. I'm going to ensure that those bills are paid the moment that they come in. Well, that's okay if the people that are paying you frequently enough that the money is coming in to compensate for the money that's going out. But if you're one of those people that are, are quick to pay and yet slow to receive, it could very well be that the gap between the money coming in and the money going out becomes so significant that you run out of cash in the interim. You grow broke. You've got every intention. Once the money's come in, you're a viable business again. But in the moment where you're signing checks, if the cash isn't coming in to cover them, you're broke. So understanding the frequency of money coming into the business and therefore matching that at least with the speed in which money goes out the business. Don't get me wrong, money has to flow. It has to be able to continue to grow over and over and over again. We have to have the movement of money in order for it to be able to enhance and grow the business. And yet, if we aren't measuring the speed in which it's coming in and matching that at least with the speed in which it's going out, then there could be a crunch point where we run out of cash. Now, it might be that if we know that we've got cash coming in, we're able to either dip into a overdraft account or a savings account or borrow some money from elsewhere to cover that interim. And there's many people out there, maybe bridging finance, maybe factoring, maybe being able to have a short-term commitment with the bank of an overdraft facility enables us to be able to overcome that if it's been planned. But there's something really desperate and scary about living in the overdraft because the speed in which you're paying is quicker than the speed in which you're being paid. So how do we address this? Well, first of all, we've got to be able to ensure that cash is coming into the business quickly, regularly, and with predictability. But secondly, we need to be able to adapt and maintain our own considerations with regards to what and where and how and why and when we spend money in the business. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not adverse to being able to spending cash. People need to be paid for the jobs that they do for you, the suppliers and all that type of jazz. But we've got to be able to understand when to pay in order that it doesn't have a detrimental impact to our business. However, we're also talking about ADDAZERO, and ADDAZERO isn't just about being able to increase the top line, the gross that comes into the business. It's possibly more important to be able to look at the bottom line and the net profit within the business. And therefore, one of the things that you could do is to renegotiate the terms of payments with your suppliers that aligns you to being able to have a better profit margin within the business. What do I mean by this? Well, if you want to be able to buy any of the products or services that we provide, either the books that we provide, ADDAZERO Establishing Basecamp, a book purchased through the ADDAZERO website, addazero.co.uk, and then simply visit shop, where you'll find the ADDAZERO Establishing Basecamp book in either digital or paperback format, or on Audible if you prefer to listen to your content, and its sequel, ADDAZERO Scales to Summit. There's some physical products there, but you might choose to be able to buy some services from the mytruenorth.biz website also, some coaching, some mentorship. And we have two means of payment. You can pay with whichever credit card or debit card or BACS transfer that you prefer to be able to do, but there are two methods of payment. You can either pay single pay and you purchase the whole package in a single purchase. You pay up front and then we subsequently deliver that coaching or mentorship over a period of months beyond there. Or you might choose, if the single pay option is too large an investment to be able to make straight away, you might choose to be able to do what we call a split pay option, where you pay in installments for the coaching and mentorship. Well, if you are willing to be able to commit to purchasing the entire program in its entirety on day one, we reward people for that by offering it at a more competitive rate than that if you were to be able to pay over split pay. If you can invest everything in us on day ones to show that you're fully committed, we recognize that by offering more competitive terms than that if you're staging the payments, to staggering the payments, and paying for it as it's being delivered. So you could do exactly the same within your business. It could very well be that you're currently paying rent to a landlord for where you are, or you're paying a supplier on a weekly, monthly, quarterly basis. And you could go back to that supplier and say, I'd like to make a large payment upfront for the next 12 months of rent, but I want to renegotiate the rate in which I pay. I want to be able to pay you less by paying you more. And it could very well be that that becomes more profitable for the business if we're capable of being able to raise that finance in the first place over the longer term. And in subsequently, over the next 12 months, we've got a better profit margin because we've invested wisely up front in order to be able to reduce our overall costs. So understanding the physical costs to the business, understanding the break-even point in a business, how much does it cost to run the business, both in terms of fixed assets and variable assets, and then determining as to what can you do, what can you negotiate, what programs can you put in place, what systems and processes can you put in place, how can you negotiate better terms with the people with whom you are paying in order to be able to have a better net profit at the end of the day. So again, that's from page 160, 161 in Establishing Basecamp, the first of the two books on looking at how to be able to create a strong and stable foundation on which to be able to grow both you and your business. I hope if that's helped today. I'll be back again next Monday with some more ADDAZERO insights. Do let me know in the chat as to whether you've watched it live by simply putting #live, or if you've watched this as a replay, #replay. And perhaps you'd like to be able to also comment on what are you going to do today and this week in terms of being able to add a zero to you and your business. God bless, take care, have a great week, and I look forward to seeing you again next Monday.